Hello, friends. Today we will be reviewing another amazing book, Indistractable by Neil Hayal. This is the author's second book, and both have been amazing. The first one was Hooked, and this one is even further. This book helps you to understand how to become indistractable, which I think is the superpower of the 21st century, right? The ability to become indistractable. How can we stay away from distractions that keep us away from our goals? Is probably the power that all of us need. This book also busts the myth, get distracted by technology around us. This is only an excuse, right? And as you read the book, you will get more insights into this fact. Quick disclaimer, this is not a book summary. This is just a book recommendation. I've read the book and I'm sharing my recommendation with you. Of course, this 5-minute summary or recommendation is not going to be enough for you to learn the concepts. So my suggestion and high recommendation is that you buy the book and read it. Before we jump into the slightly deeper review, I would request you to consider checking my YouTube channel. There is more such content there. There are lots of interviews with leading authors, coaches, and consultants. Might like the content. And if you like it, please subscribe. It will mean a lot to me because your appreciation means that you like the content, and I will make more such. So, Indistractable is, like I said, the superpower that we all need. It is commonplace and understandable today to blame our TV, laptop, that shiny phone that you have for all our ills. These things keep us away from what we want to do. Now, please note these things, they can't keep us away, right? It is what's inside us that is keeping us away. And this book is all about that. Things don't really keep us away from what we want to do or what we should be doing. Our inability to manage these distractions keeps us away. Distractions have always been around. When newspapers arrived, people were only reading newspapers in public transport, buses and all. And you must have seen photographs on social media and other sites where photographs from 50, 70, 100 years ago showing people reading books or newspapers and not really talking to each other, right? So today we blame our phones. 50 years ago, 70 years ago, 100 years ago, we were blaming newspapers and books. Think of this. What is the opposite of distraction? Focus? No. Focus is not the opposite of distraction. It is traction. Neil teaches you this distinction early in the book. Traction makes progress possible. Think of distraction as being pulled away from your goal and traction as being pulled towards the goal. And there are triggers and prompts you get to get closer towards the goal. As always, these triggers are all around and within us as well. We get distracted to move away from discomfort. Real work is really tough, therefore, any small distraction that takes us away from that pain of doing real good work is becomes a distraction, right? So you are working, for example, on an article. Maybe I was working on this summary, the recommendation that I am writing. A lot of distractions, and this is painful work. You have to actually do something. And anything that takes you away from that pain becomes a distraction. So this is extremely important to understand that distraction is not coming from somewhere. It is within us. So key point here was distraction takes us away from our goals and traction takes us closer to the goal. What should be our response? Master internal triggers, make time for traction, hack back your external triggers and prevent distraction with facts. So first up, mastering internal triggers is a fascinating part of the book where Neil talks about how time management is pain management, which I explained, right? So a little bit, but read the book for even more fascinating coverage of this topic. He then talks about how dissatisfaction is actually key to development, right? So if we are not dissatisfied with what we have today, we will never improve, right? So be at peace with that sentiment. If we want to master distraction, then we must learn to deal with discomfort. Abstaining usually leads to boomerang effects and worsens the distraction. We all know this because of our attempt to, lose weight, quit smoking, start running, and all these things. So, and fasting, right? So we need more techniques to manage this. Just willpower is not enough. Reimagine a boring task and that can help you manage internal triggers, just something that can hold your attention for a little bit. And later on, I'll tell you about this 10-minute technique as well. Like I said, we don't run on willpower. Don't depend too much of, I won't do this, I won't do this, I won't do this. It does not work in the long term. Find ways and means to keep yourself away from the distraction. Method works over willpower. Stuff is about making time for traction. We give away our time too easily. What is urgent to others becomes urgent to us also. Why? This should not happen. It is urgent to somebody else for some reason. Your reason is not the same reason, right? You can't call something a distraction unless you know what it is distracting you from. So extremely important to understand what are you getting distracted from. Unless you have a worthwhile goal, that distraction is not really a distraction. So if you are just watching TV, you get a phone call. The phone call is not a distraction because what were you doing? You were watching only TV, right? So you were anyway not very focused on something. Right. So this section also talks about the concept of calendarizing our to-do list. And this is one of my favorite parts of the book. Neer rightly believes that making a to-do list isn't going to get anything done. Putting our to-do list on the calendar will make things happen. Right. So this is vital. This is extremely critical tip for productivity hacks, that making that to-do list actually doesn't get anything done. Right. When you schedule time for it on your calendar, that's when things happen. The other tip in this section is about time boxing your day. So make 3 compartments: family, yourself, and relationships, and of course, work, right? So 3 compartments: you, yourselves, family, and work. Plan and commit time to it. Of course, some jobs may make it more difficult, but you get the point. Right? Unless you make these 3 compartments and time box your day, you are always going to run into distractions. Most important part of this section was for me to, of course, the moving of to-do list to calendar. I am an obsessive list maker and have often felt that I have reached the limits of what lists can do for me. This book actually for happened just at the right time for me and has given me another perspective on how to get a to-do list done. Very important reminder in this book or this particular chapter was also lack of friendship is hazardous to your health. So find your friends. I know that, in the last 1.5, 2 years, all of us are probably more at home and a little bit away from our friends and colleagues, but find time to do that. Next up, is really, really important. Making backup external triggers, right? External triggers can lead to traction as well. It is extremely important. Like friction leads to movement. So if there is no friction, you will have unbounded movement and maybe, unsure of where we are going. Progress is important, and therefore understanding how this trigger helps you is extremely, extremely critical. There are people, of course, who need a specific setup to work peacefully. Some need coffee, some need some other thing, and the list is endless. These are all external triggers. Remember, interruptions lead to mistakes. So if you're trying to focus, please let everybody know that you're trying to focus. This is important. We don't get this point. There are people who put up post-it notes or flags on their desk or desktop saying that I'm in focus time, right? There is that famous Pomodoro technique which asks you to shut off everything and focus only for 20 minutes and get that work. I've often found myself that, if I have an important email or important message to write, I actually shut down Outlook or any email communication, take off the internet and actually focus only on writing the message, right? And usually 10, 15, 20 minutes is much, much more than enough. Than if you were all plugged in, it would probably take 2 hours to do the. Defend your focus with ferocity, right? Many people put up a sign, like I said, have to let people know that this is your focus time and you don't want to be disturbed. Also, this particular section also has multiple subsections around hacking your back your email time and stuff. One of my favorite sentences in this chapter was, to get fewer emails, we must send fewer emails, right? So we often want to respond within seconds. Just think why, why do you have to respond immediately? Why can't you just take a deep breath, take a walk, do something else and then respond? It is amazing that how several topics cease to be urgent and important just by giving them some space and time. Of course, I'm not saying that if something is on fire, you take your time to respond, but you get my point, right? So there is no fun, there is no joy, there's nobody wins when you are have in an email match and responding back and forth on really nothing, right? The whole chapter in this book on hacking email, which I totally recommend you to read. Just as email is a distraction, there is group chat as well. All of us are working in environments where there are several group chat options or work related options. And some of these contribute to interrupting your work, how to handle that. That's also there. Same goes for meetings as well. My favorite tip in this chapter was make it harder to call for meeting, right? Avoid meetings, avoid setting up meetings, right? So for example, the author talks about setting up an agenda in advance and also sending the pre-read material. If the pre-read material is not there, don't have the meeting. Right. If the agenda is not there, don't have the meet. Don't bring too many laptops to the meetings, right? So have only one or two laptops and which are only required for maybe taking notes. And you will find that you need half the time or less than half the time for the meeting. There's another chapter, very interesting chapter for all of us who are addicted to our smartphones. Back to your smartphone, clean it, do a 5S on it, remove, replace, rearrange, and reclaim the thing. There are sections or tips around this using technology to beat technology addiction, right? So there are, many phones these days have a Zen mode or reclaim your life or a wellness mode, which allows you to cut off your phone for about 20 minutes or so. It only, of course, allows very important phones based on what your settings are. But that would be awesome, right? You want to do some, good work for 20 minutes, set this wellness mode or Zen mode alone and get that time. There's a lot more in this section that I would love if you can read. Checking back your desktop, online articles. We all have tons of online articles that we have saved, but never read, right? Your feeds and everything that distracts you. The next part, which is the most important part of the book, according to me, is the preventing distraction with pacts. The pacts that you make with ourselves and others, right? We all know of stories of people going to extremes to ward of distractions. Globally, every culture will have some stories around this. While extremes may not be necessary, but concept is important. And Neil, of course, uses the example of the famous story of Ulysses, Homer's Odyssey, where Ulysses makes a pact and he's able to ward off the distractions that he's addicted to by just making a pact with himself. Right. But remember, the author reminds us that these pre-commitments or the pacts work only if we have worked on the internal and external triggers. If you've not worked on the internal and external trigger, the pacts will act only as an abstaining or a fasting kind of an exercise. And that, as you know, it doesn't really work very well. So, of the 10-minute pact as well. And 10-minute tip is an extremely important tip for maybe Weight Watchers or people who are trying to build a new habit or get off some distraction or get off some addiction. It just says that, give in to your temptation if it is really, really tempting you, but just make the pact for 10 minutes. So you want to grab that cookie, you want to grab that cake, just 10 minutes. Wait for 10 minutes and then have it. You'll find that usually the temptation goes away after 10 minutes. It also talks about a very interesting app called Forest. It also talks about this app called Forest. It is, of course, like the Zen mode or the other modes in most phones, where it allows you to stay off internet for 20 to 25 minutes. So you can actually increase the time if you want. There are, of course, price pacts also, where you have to have some kind of a penalty or a fee. For example, many of us know of meetings where if we reach late, there is a fine, which eventually is used for, pizza or charity or something else. But the message is that you should not get late to a meeting. 3 more sections in this book: making your workplace indistractable, how to raise indistractable children, and how to have indistractable relationships. Towards the end of the book, there is bonus content as well, which has trackers and templates. Extremely useful section. So in summary, this is a fascinating book with a very, very useful message for our times. And it is more than a message. It has tools and tips that need to become indistractable. This is, of course, the superpower of our times, like I call it. If you like the summary and you want more content like this, please like, share, and subscribe. It will mean a lot to me, and it will encourage me to make more such content. Thanks for watching, and till the next episode, manage better.